your podcast. I just want to make sure. Can I also use it as mine?
Yes, absolutely.
Sounds good.
Yeah,
So
I assume this was just going to be a two-way thing if we wanted to do like a Europe setup versus a like US based thing because since you're in Europe and I'm in US, we can try to get different audiences from that.
yeah, sounds good.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's introduce ourselves. Let you start. Do you want to be called Alex or Alexander?
Yeah. I like to be called. Have you started the OBS? Because I'm starting it in three, two, one now.
Oh, yeah, I just started.
All right. Well, can you start over?
Yeah, we can do whatever because we could just cut out the first little part.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Do three, two, one. Do that for audio. Then, okay. Hey guys, my name's Steven, and we're starting a podcast today. We're going to just do general introductions and get to know us and who we are and what we do. So, my name's Steven, and I have Alex or Alexander here with me. I'll let him introduce himself.
Hello, guys. I'm Alexander. I come from Scandinavia, which is a different part of the globe as far as from Steven. And we are business connections, and I'm very delighted that he wants me on his podcast. And this is actually also my first podcast, so hope you will like it. And yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
and
very excited to be here.
we're both just learning, so this will be kind of probably a pretty rough episode here in first few episodes, but we'll learn as we go. Um, okay, so what got you um, into your business, and just describe what it is for us.
Okay. So, for me, I was always upset with the idea of financial freedom, which I actually found out is motivated um, by my motivation of being a father. I always wanted to start a family. I always wanted to be a dad, and I figured if I want to be able to be the kind of dad I want to and spend as much time as I think is necessary to spend that with my kids and my wife. I need to learn how to be more financially stable. So since a long age, I was not a long age, but um, since a young age, I was always interested in business and numbers and trying to figure out how could I make myself financially stable so that I don't need to work at a 9 to 5 job with a certain salary, um, but find out how to make more money and how to elevate myself and my own skills so that I can make that potential future for myself. So yeah, and this is one of the ways of I think, and I think it's proven to be the right path. So yeah,
It's awesome, and I do similar business as he does, and so we both did training actually through Jason Capital, and we're kind of focusing on different areas of the program itself. So I'm going more of website, social media area, and he's going more, correct me if I'm wrong, the virtual assistant route with that and getting automation for clients. Is that correct?
I guess you can say that. I guess you can say that. Yeah, I do mostly. I try to do mostly lead gen, doing Facebook ads, Google ads, and
Yeah.
such as that. So yeah,
Awesome. And how'd you choose your name with the Bird Box agency?
Birdhouse agency. Sorry,
Birdhouse, sorry.
it's fine. Well, actually, um, I had a really tough time making up the name. I got a good amount of ideas, but none of them really stick. Stuck. So actually, I went out for a walk, and in my garden, at my parents' house, we had a birdhouse, like up in the air, like in 2 or 3 meters high, and it was always so special because it had like 18 spaces, so it was like a really wide and big one, which I think we had it for like the last 15 years, maybe 10, 15 years. So I just think that was really iconic for where I come from my parents' place,
Hmm.
and I just think. Also, later I got onto the idea of making like birds, making people fly up above the skies. So that also became one of the things. So yeah,
That's awesome. So I'll tell a little about myself, and then we'll get into each other's backgrounds
yeah,
and all that kind of thing. So I'm Steven, and I'm with Winning Capital. And why I got started into this was I was kind of stuck at a job that I was just had some disagreements with owners and wanted to expand from there and get and kind of be my own business owner. I've tried to do woodworking in the past, but with COVID and some other things, get moving from my parents to my own place, losing my shop and things like that, I was not able to get that successfully started, and so I was doing IT all throughout that. And I went from an IT help desk level one to level two to IT manager. And when I was the IT manager, is for more of a startup company, and just disagreed where it was going. And I saw this opportunity from Jason. I think it was on Instagram, and I just kind of went from there with getting signed up, and really enjoyed how he had it set up and the way that we were able to scale, especially with partnership with our agency. And with that, it kind of, as soon as get a few clients, I want to actually make this a passive income source for me and go move on to different other business opportunities that I have that I need some funding for. Um, and how I chose my name, it's just my last name. I just put a little pun in it. My last name's Win, and so I did Winning. I was like, okay, what's a good word to pair with Winning? Because eventually I want like Win Corporations and have all my other sub companies under there. But I was like, well, Jason Capital, Winning Capital, and it's like, well, that fits. And so
love that. I love that.
nothing too complicated. Um,
And I also think like winning and winning,
mhm.
like
Yeah,
winning as winning and losing. Yeah,
yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Um, and so it's just a fun little play on words that I thought would
Yeah,
be enjoyable. Okay, so tell background about like kind of where you grew up, what your interests are, and all of that kind of thing.
sure. So I'm 19 years old, and last summer I graduated from the school, which I think is a bit higher of level of high school, I think.
Hmm.
So I'm 19. I will come from Scandinavia, more specifically in Denmark, and I come from the city called Billund, which is the hometown for Lego, the Lego bricks. So that's actually pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, and as a city, we are only about 8,000 living in the city, uh, and we got the country's second largest airport. We got Legoland. We got what is called Lalandia, which is also, I suppose, also as Legoland, but like with also houses and stuff like that. We have
Hmm.
Wool Park, which is also an adventure park, and like it's just a great city compared to its size. So that's where I come from. I, as I explained earlier, I am very interested in financial and business ideas and how to do it. And I think that also comes from my dad being an entrepreneur, starting his own business. He's a used car salesman and has
Hmm.
been that for the last 30, 40 years. So he's got some experience on his back, and I think that is also what like kind of pushed me into this way of trying to trying to start my own company and such. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. Yeah, so following that up, I'll tell a little about myself. I'm 21, and so I graduated high school about equivalent of what he did. U.S. and Europe have two very different schooling systems after
yeah,
elementary school, middle school area, especially in high. Correct me if I'm wrong. Especially in high school, it splits off into three different categories.
yeah.
Is that right?
We have one that's more specific in business, we have one which is more science, and one is more general, which has like chemistry and more academic, I think you can say.
Yeah.
But
So,
science is
uh,
academic.
yeah, about equivalent here in the U.S. would be like the AP honor students, the tech students, and then just the regular high school students. And so,
Yeah.
because we all, even in the same high school, everyone kind of splits off into their own groups. So we have different levels of courses. So, like for myself, I was kind of in all the groups,
Mhm.
oddly enough. So I did plenty of woodworking, metalworking, did robotics, all of that, and then but I was also in like honors and college level math. And science and everything minus English. English, I was more in the just regular. Um,
Sure.
but that's also just because I have dyslexia and some other just reading issues. Um, but uh, but I didn't even figure that out till later high school because I learned how to deal with it so well that we didn't know that what was going on, why I wasn't reading.
Good job, mate. Good job.
Yeah, but on whenever we had to take, do you guys do standardized tests like ACT, SAT, or?
Well, we have test and standardized tests, but I don't know those
Yeah,
terms.
so we have tests that allow us to basically for colleges to be like, okay, you take these day-long tests that have three different sections. So this is just the ACT. The SAT is slightly different. You have
Okay.
a reading section, English section, a math section, a science section.
Yeah.
And how well you do on that, you get a max of 36 points. And with that, like for my with my dyslexia, I was trying to get help on my English and reading because I'm really smart in those way. I'm really smart when I don't have to read it myself when I'm listening to it. So I was trying to get help on the ACT, but the lady who diagnosed me with dyslexia didn't get my papers in time for me to take the test.
Oh,
And
that
so
sucks.
she sent it like the Monday after. And so, um, yeah, so, but like my math and English were in the 30s on the scores, and then math and English, math and science were in the 30s, and then my English and reading were like in the teens, which is not an amazing score. Um,
Mm.
like 30s is like really smart here, and then 20s is kind of where the average is, mid 20s. And then when you're in the teens, you're kind of like, okay, you're an average to lower student.
Okay, sure. So,
Anyway, go ahead.
yeah. Okay, well, so in Denmark we have the school system where 9 years of school is mandatory, and after that you go to youth educations, and the last 3 years of the ground school, they like test you and see if you are okay and stable enough to start on the youth educations. And as I explained earlier, we have a business, we have a general, and we have a more science, but we also have like the specific jobs, like carpenter.
Yeah,
Oh, oh wow, the words escapes me right now. But
carpenter,
wood cutter.
welders,
Yeah, like that.
the trades.
Yeah. So you can also specify those. I went to the general one, and that is the one I actually graduated from back in summers. So I'm really glad to do that. It's good and it's quite fun
That's
as well.
awesome. Sorry, I'm sending one text here. Okay, and I guess
Okay.
finishing off about background about myself as we went on that tangent. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I also love to do sports. Basketball is my absolute favorite.
Mm.
Up until high school, I was one of the top people in my town on playing the sport. And then I had some injuries. Unluckily, couldn't play in high school, but I still coached some kids that another coach came and approached me. Is like, hey, you want to do this? And I said, yeah, why not? So
Mm.
up until about 3 months ago, I coached kids for about 4 or 5 years. It just came too much with traveling back and forth where I live and where the basketball team is. Um, other than that, just kind of been doing IT and then getting into the business and yeah. So I think that
Yeah,
kind of sums up close to who I am.
yeah, sure. Um,
Okay, so let's go into what's your biggest win this last week. I know you're about to tell me about your a little bit about the deal that you were getting.
yeah. So, well, I think my biggest win, like, right now I'm trying to hire more employees, so that I can outsource some of my works, and I think
Hmm.
I landed a pretty good deal today. So I'm really happy to start working with this guy. So that I think that is definitely the biggest win. I still have to set it up a bit more, so he knows what to do. But I
Yeah,
think that's a big win. Yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, so my biggest win this week is I'm wrapping up or at least finalizing a deal that I've been working on for the last little bit. I got connected with this lady when I was setting up my business account, and she wanted to start her own business that trains other people how to do business. And so this is specifically laser lipo. So she wants to train women to be able to start their own business. So she wants to be the training aspect of that, and she was looking for a um, resources outside of just the training of the technician part. She wanted to set up the whole business, and so she approached me and said, "Hey, I know you do full scope marketing. Do you want to partner with us to help get them up and going?" And
Mhm.
so I'm helping her get her stuff all settled, and then here in the next month or two, they're going to start training for other ladies to do this. And with that, I will be any business package that they sell, I will be wrapped in with the marketing for that.
Oh, great.
And so they
That's
want
cool.
to. Their goal is to get like 2 to 3 people a week, kind of thing, to train and do webinars or in-person training and all of that. And so if that happens, I will be able to scale huge quick. And I hopefully then I'll be able to get account manager and some other people to put in place in the
Ah,
company.
sounds good. Sounds good. Yeah, it's definitely again about getting the cash flow. Uh,
Yep.
cash flow is the name of the game. It's always been.
Yeah.
If you have got cash flow, you can do a bunch of funny stuff. Let's
Yeah.
put it like that.
As soon as you get enough income to cover your basis and hire somebody, then that's when the business hugely just grows.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, when you're not alone anymore. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
definitely.
What's your biggest loss that you've had this week?
Um, I think it was probably yeah. What I think my biggest loss. Actually, I know I already prepared for this talk, but yeah. So actually, I do not know. I think my biggest loss is right now I'm on a meal plan. I try to get my body in shape, so I have a very strict diet, and I train 5 times a week and go
Mhm.
um, 8,000 steps a day. And I think my biggest loss is this weekend I ate way too much. I made too many cheat meals, so that's
Yeah.
probably the biggest loss. And the worst thing about it is like it just sets you back so much.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, that's definitely about my biggest loss. So yeah,
Yeah.
how about you?
So my biggest loss this week was probably there was just a couple days where I didn't do much. I just wasn't it. I wasn't kind of feeling the best. It wasn't like I was feeling like always sick, but I just was kind of in that in between where you're not, where you just don't
Mm,
feel well and don't want to do anything. And because of where, like where I am and what I do, I can do that. Where I just
yeah,
have a day or two where it goes, okay, I literally can just lay in bed or play on the game computer and play games or whatever. And there's kind of 2 or 3 days where I kind of just wasted there, and I was like, well, this after I looking back on it, I was like, well, that kind of sucked. I felt absolutely unproductive, and
Yeah.
um, so that's probably my biggest loss there.
I'm
And
sad. I'm sad. Sad to hear it. Yeah.
yeah, but we've also had a lot of weather change here, and so with that, it's kind of just got my sinuses and headache and all
Yeah.
of that. Um,
Mm.
Also, last night probably doesn't help that I ate a full pizza for a competition.
What did you at least win? Like,
Oh, 100%. I would not have
okay,
entered it if I didn't know I could win.
yeah, okay, okay, yeah,
Did I
sure,
feel awful last night for about 4 hours after? Absolutely. It was
yeah,
also cheap pizza where the crust was just dry, and
uh,
so my mouth is still dry from eating that pizza last night.
oh,
And like my throat is a little bit dry, so like I'm gonna have to drink more and more to compensate for that.
oh, wow, man.
But yeah, and
But
it wasn't just like, oh, it's a small pizza. No, it was a pizza.
yeah, yeah, like a real
There's
pizza, like
a large pizza here.
okay, okay, fair
So
enough, fair
yeah, so
enough.
it's about 13, 14 inches wide.
Okay, okay, yeah, that's not good. Like
Yeah,
everybody's focused on health and body and stuff like that, and keeping
like
your
luckily I
most
didn't have
most
another
of that.
dinner on top of that.
Oh,
I didn't know because I'm in a actually in a fraternity here at because I live with a bunch of college guys. I'm in a fraternity, and we do competitions for our little like cell groups. And they said some guy just brought in a bunch of pizza and said, "Hey, who like choose the person who can eat the most in your group?" And everyone turned to me. And so
well, it's hard to keep up with that reputation.
so I absolutely destroyed everyone. Like
Oh, it's
next closest person had about 3 slices left to me. So there was 10 slices total. So next person had 3 slices. The person after that didn't even finish half a pizza, and then the last
oh,
person finished like 2 slices.
what? Wow, okay, man, how fast do you fucking eat? Like, wait.
When I need to, I can finish anything like that.
Sure, sure.
But
Well,
yes,
okay. Did you win? Did you win anything, or was it just like fun?
we won points for our semester competition. So each week we have a different competition. Like last week we played Kahoot. This week we did pizza eating competition. I don't know what next week's going to be, but they should send out what the activities are going to be so I can actually prepare. Especially if there's another eating one, because I'll be shoved into it.
Uh, like, yeah, it's difficult. You have to uphold that reputation. It's
Like,
easy points.
exactly. Um,
And you
oh my gosh. Okay, what's your biggest lesson for this week? The biggest thing that you learned?
Right. So Saturday, some of my friends who are studying chemistry and such came back to my hometown, and we spent the night together. And when I got home, I instead of going to bed, which was like 12 p.m., I spent up the night and was on my computer for like 2 hours, 2 to 3
Hmm.
a.m. And I had to be up at I can't remember. I think it was like 8 in the morning. So that just destroyed me. Like because there was a problem with my alarm, so I woke up at 6 o'clock and then 7 o'clock, and I just woke up a bunch of times. So I think the biggest, and it just kind of like delayed my day, broke my day. I couldn't do any. I didn't do shit that day because
Hmm.
what I had to do filled the whole day, and since I woke up very late, I had to like rush to that thing, and I didn't have any time left after that.
Yep.
So like the biggest lesson is get control your sleep rhythm, because otherwise it fucks up the next day as well. And
Very
that's
true.
it. Like it's like having one fun evening for the price of 2 days. It's
Exactly.
not a
Yeah.
good trade-off.
Yeah. How many hours of sleep do you usually get a night?
I try to peak at the 8.5.
Eight and a half.
So yeah, so preferably preferably I want to go to bed at 9:30,
Hmm.
10, and wake up at 6 a.m. In the morning. So
Yeah,
yeah, that's my goal. So
yeah, that's good. Yeah, I have a little different sleep schedule than you do.
sure.
I get about 3 to 5 hours of sleep a night.
Oh, that's a little low, isn't
Oh
it?
yeah, it's 100% low, but yeah. So I actually have a medical condition on top of what everything else I have that messes with my adrenaline and cooling down system. So when I'm asleep, I get really good sleep. And
Okay.
so I don't need as much sleep throughout the day.
Oh,
Um,
great.
so, because basically my body exerts, even if I do absolutely nothing, my body exerts so much adrenaline, so much energy that when I go to bed at night after I get my body to relax and fall asleep, the 3, 4, 5 hours that I'm asleep just absolutely just is very good sleep. And then I'll wake up. So I try to get bed around midnight, and I'll get up around usually around 5 or 6.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and with that, it just allows me to get. I guess I also feel like I can get more throughout the day done. And a lot of people are always complaining about not having enough time. I'm like, okay, if you don't have enough time, just cut an hour of sleep or cut an hour of social media or cut an hour of playing video games.
Well, yeah, and also like try to wake up earlier.
Yeah,
Like I know I'm not as productive in the evening as I am in the morning, and I have not met any person who are more productive in the evening
yeah,
than in the morning. Like if you get shit done in the early morning, you have a great day. It's
yeah,
a similar thing
absolutely. I know a
because
lot of people who get their energy bursts in the evening, but even with that, it says, okay, you still have to get up around the same time each morning and get something done to get your day started
yeah,
right. Even if that's
yeah,
just getting up and brushing your teeth, making coffee, and reading a book or something like that.
yeah, and also like if the problem with having a burst of productivity in the evening is like you have to go to bed.
Hmm.
Like if I get a burst of productivity at say at 7 a.m., like I have still like 12 hours before I go to bed.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of time to really work that out. So that's really also one of the reasons. So and dude, I think morning routines doing like do you have a specific one?
Um, yeah, so I have actually my morning routine is a little bit long. And so I spend about 30 minutes right after I wake up in mindful meditation.
Hmm?
And some of that reason is also to control my pain in my body and that kind of thing, to get out of
Yeah.
bed and all that. Um, and then I look at my schedule through the day, and it all depends on what I'm doing. So if I have to get up and get to an office or get there, I just get up, use the restroom, get ready, and then usually I'm heading out within an hour or two waking up. Um, but beyond that, it's kind of just get up, get ready, sit at my computer, do work, or get out and do what I need to away, because I just every day is very different for me. I don't have a same weekly schedule, so like about the only thing I have each week is church. Beyond that, every other day changes, and so like I see my girlfriend on different days, and so depending on what days I see her depends on when I have to leave here because she lives 2.5 hours away from me. And
Okay.
so like if we're like, okay, we're hanging out, like this week we're hanging out Friday, and so Friday I'll get up around 6 or 7, and then I'll be leaving by 7:30 to get there by about 10, 11. Um, and depending if I need to get gas and do other things with my car, um, but usually that's typically what I do. It's just all depends on the day. In other days, I'm doing consulting or doing deals. So like this morning, I woke up and had it automatically was just right away texting back the client that I'm working with and getting stuff figured out for her.
Sure. Sure.
What about yourself?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, I try to wake up at 6 a.m. So and the first thing I do is as because I'm on a training routine, I have a specific breakfast I try to eat, and also due to that, I also take vitamins and what is called
Creatine.
creatine.
Yeah.
Creatine, yeah, yeah. So in the morning, so first off, I go up, get breakfast, get some get a hot shower and a cold one. So I start with the warm water, and after
Hmm.
that I go with 1 minute of cold,
Yep.
and that really like sparks the body. It really kickstarts the body,
Hmm.
so to speak. And then hopefully in the night before I have like made a list of what to do in the morning. So like I don't have to think about what I need to do. I just have to work. I just have to execute.
Yep.
So so I try to make it like a mind dump on the evening. So and also setting up what the first thing I have to do is. So let's say um the business strategy. If I have to work on that, I said okay. I have to work on my business strategy. Okay, what do I need to work on with it, and how to? I want to set up the parameters of how to do it
Hmm.
beforehand. So when I wake up, I don't have to like think. I just have to do,
Yep.
um, and that way you can get a lot like execute a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And also the reason why you also want to, um, the reason you also want to mind dump the night before is you clear your head so you have a better sleep. So
Yes.
and that's actually one thing I learned from a person called Bedros Kulian, or I think, or maybe it was Craig Ballantyne. I can't remember, but one of those two people.
Hmm.
So I think that's a quite useful morning and night ritual. Yeah.
Yep. It's awesome. And I see that in this you said the connecting with others and avoiding mistakes. Do you want to expand on that? What you put
Yeah,
in
sure,
there?
sure. So just to clarify for our watchers, we have shared a PDF, maybe not a PDF, but
A
a Word
doc.
document where we share what ideas we wanted to talk about on this podcast. And so one of the things I wrote was connecting with others and avoiding mismatches, because a huge part of business is connections. Like your network is your net worth, as many people say. So whoever you know can help you do a lot of stuff. So
Hmm.
and that's also one of the reasons me and Steven have met is because we want to network and we want to expand our business connections.
Hmm.
And one thing I have learned and also heard from other people is the biggest thing to avoid when you're trying to connecting with other people is mismatches, like energy
Absolutely.
mismatches, uh, bad joke mismatches, and stuff like that. So also because the reason why you want to do that is because you want people to first of all like you, so they want to spend time with you again.
Hmm.
And one way to do that is making sure that you don't do anything that they don't like. So mis, which I call mismatches.
Yep.
So um, yeah, and it's difficult, but it requires training. But everything requires training nowadays. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just wanted to put that on because I think it's really a
Yeah.
good way
What's an
to make.
example of that for you?
Well, okay, so in Friday I was to an event where me and some of my friends were the youngest people at the place. We were about 20, 22 years old, and the rest was probably about 50, 60 years old. So we pulled down the age average by a lot. So
Absolutely.
and yeah, yeah, and so one of the things we joked a lot about with all of the different persons that came to us was how we like the obvious thing was we were younger.
Hmm.
So so keeping it keeping the conversation to that and joking a bit about it, and so yeah, and making joking about it and making the obvious obvious. So like I think I fired off the joke that we help bring the average age down by like a lot, and I
Hmm.
think I fired that off to like 5 to 10 people at the same one. But because like if one thing works, you can just do it on the other thing. Yeah,
Yep.
and if I wanted to make like a mismatch, I would probably, I don't know, maybe I would like point out that I'm younger and have uh not bring the age down, but more like um making the difference between young and old, like the physical
Hmm.
and mental differences, obvious. So
Yeah.
just keeping like the gap as the joke, as
Yep.
and like if they came and gave me a like gave me a handshake, I would also respond with a handshake.
Yeah.
So like uh, and if people could try to go for a hug, go for a hug.
Hmm.
Like it's always awkward if one person goes for a handshake and the other person goes for a hug. Like
Yeah.
that's a big mismatch, and people remember that.
Yeah.
Maybe not the conscious, but the unconscious do definitely.
Yeah.
So just the handshake and hug is definitely a big mismatch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so I guess example for myself is like with my business that I was a part of, where we just had different goals in the long run. I was hired to do some certain things, and eventually the owner who hired me for that would always like fight me on every decision that was made, even though he hired me to make those decisions. Um, and so there's a huge mismatch there, and so eventually I just had to say, okay, I gotta go. You can hire me back as consulting rates, but with that, it's just I just don't agree with where we're going, and there's just some other things within the company, and so I realize that there's a personality and goal mismatch there. Because
yeah.
mismatch can be personality, it can be goal, it can be mindset, it can be even physical. Like if the person just has, I don't know, say is super overly obese, I'm probably not going to work with that person because there's going to be just a deficit there in our mindsets that's subconscious, but they'll let a lot of more things, usually 90% of the time, they're going to let more stuff go than somebody who is more disciplined. And even, it doesn't have to be like a CrossFit in shape, but like it just takes care of their body.
Mm. Yeah, exactly. Also, like one of the things about obesity and like a bad body, so to speak, is like you, the thing is when you see some person being obese, what obese means is that person at least makes 3 mistakes every day.
Hmm.
Bad 3 mistakes, bad decisions like every day.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, I was also to a part where like me and some other girls were talking about how to attract the other gender, and one of the things was like, dude, if a girl or a boy sees an obese, if like it's okay to be to like obese and stuff like that. Me personally, I don't like it that much. I think it's okay, okay, sure. But
Hmm.
like one of the things is um, you don't want the person to make like continuously bad decisions.
Yeah.
And obesity is often related to diet, very often. So yeah, if you are obese and have been that for like the last 10 years, is because you still make bad decisions on your diet.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah. And just to define, there's a difference between like heavy set and obese,
Oh
where
yeah, definitely.
like we're not saying somebody who has like a little bit of extra weight. We're
Yeah,
saying somebody who's like let themselves go, like is like a
yeah,
6 foot, like 400 or 500 pound,
yeah.
not.
Like Have you seen those documentaries where like I think
Like the
it's
My 600 Pound
sisters?
Life or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, so, two twin sisters that's like weighs over 1,000 pounds.
Yeah,
That's definitely obesity.
yeah,
Like if you have a little more on the bones, like by you're good. Like you are
yeah.
fit for fighting diseases.
Yeah, we're saying somebody who it like actually affects their life from day to day. It's not
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a
definitely.
oh hey, I have a little bit more, I have to
Oh,
get
yeah,
a slightly larger shirt, but like they still like they're still active and all of that, but they're just whatever. So I
yeah.
just want to make that clear distinction between
Oh
that
yeah, yeah, sure, definitely. I'm glad you
because
made that because that is one I think we should clear out. Yeah,
yeah.
good
Uh,
call, good call.
okay, so I guess how do you set your goals and how do you get into your mindset?
So I think you have to have a long-term goal. Long-term goal. The reason why you have to do that is because you have to get your brain chemicals in order. And the only reason way to do that is if you have a specific goal that you have outlined, like you can visualize it and you can see that is where I'm going.
Hmm.
And let's say you have a year goal of getting to 5K, 50K a month in revenue, let's say, or maybe get that many clients and so on. One way to do it is to set it up is also like you have you can split up in months and weeks and days, and so maybe personally for me I have I split it up in weeks because I think that's way easier. So
Hmm.
as I explained earlier, I'm doing a fitness plan right now where I have promised myself I've trained 5 times a week. So I don't look at the specific day and think, okay, I have to train every single day. No, the deal with myself is I have to train 5 times a week because it's very hard to like keep the same schedule day to day.
Yeah.
So it's way easier to like look on it on the week, making sure that you get what you want to do on that whole week because it's very hard to. I've tried to be like, okay, I'm gonna run a mile or two or three each day, and that's so tough. You can't do it because
Hmm.
there's something called life, and like there's a lot of things you need to do all the time, and the day is spontaneous and chaotic. It changes, so you can look at it on a daily basis. So I look at on it on a weekly
Yep.
basis. And back to the mindset, one of the that is definitely one thing to of the mindset, but also um, looking at how you can always have a negative or a positive attitude toward things, and the great thing about that is you can actually choose yourself if you want to be positive or negative about it.
Hmm.
And it's definitely it's quite easy to be negative about it. It's a bit more tough to be positive about it, but the thing is you can do both, and you can choose both. Um, and so some shit happens in life which are not always fun, but there's no man's trash that aren't good for anyone. So like a lot of situations you can turn upside down if you think it out and
Yeah.
trying to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And just to expand on that, how I set goals is you always have to have a big picture of where you're going, the destination where you're
Yeah.
going, and you have to set attainable, specific goals. You can't just go,
Yeah.
I want to run about 5, 10-ish minutes, depending how I feel a day,
Yeah.
to eventually run a 5K or whatever. You have to, every goal, you can have your, I guess I view there's three different types of goals. There's the destination goal, there's the life unattainable, like I want to end world hunger or world peace, or
That's a tough one.
make the world a
That's a tough
better place. Where
one.
that's something where yes, you can set specific goals for it, but it's something where it's like okay, that's more of a lifetime, just work on it kind of as you're doing everything else. You have your
Yeah.
very specific weekly, daily goals. You have your month, year, 5 year goals where you're like, okay, in 5 years, I want to have three businesses making $5 million a piece. And that's the destination where you want to go. And in order to do that, today I have to reach out to 5 people, I have to reach out to 10 people, whatever that is, to get to that goal.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And also, I actually got a comment to that, but it escapes me at the moment. So let's just hop on next.
Yeah.
Uh,
I guess one more thing I want to add to that is also when you don't hit the goals, put something in place where it's like, okay, yes, the first time, like
oh yeah,
have a forgiveness, but have something that you go, okay, if I don't hit 5 times of training a week, I can't go out with my friends on Saturday night.
yeah, exactly. Like having the punishment in order before you do it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but also have a reward system if you hit all 5 of those a few weeks in a row. So
yeah,
don't make anything like, oh, I didn't hit all 5. Oh no, I can't eat for the next day. No, make
yeah,
them healthy, make it the variable like, okay, I did this. Here's a good small goal for me.
yeah, yeah. And also back to the goals part is also defining what the success criteria is, because you can also look at training 5 weeks doesn't produce a fit body if you don't uh, eat the proper diet as well. So like you can have the 5 goals, 5 trainings a week, but don't get the the body that you want. So maybe the goal should be your body
Hmm.
instead of just working 5 times a week.
Yeah.
Uh, so also defining what success criteria you have. Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely. Um, cool. So I guess what are some specific goals for you this week?
So as I explained earlier, I got a new employee, and I want to make sure that that is set up properly so that we can work together. Because I think he's really great, and I think so far, I think it would be nice to have him on my team as well. So making sure that that is set up,
Yeah,
so that he can get to work without.
absolutely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I don't know
What about
what
you?
the hiring criteria is where you are, but I know in like the US it's like, okay, you have to have your LLC set up at the federal level, at the state level, you have to have your unemployment, you have to have your disability, you have to have your work person's comp. There's about 10, 15 different just forms that you have to fill out before they can even fill out their what we call as their W-4 or their I-9. Um, for that, before they can start their process, we have to fill out a ton of stupid paperwork that costs. It cost me. I tried to hire on a sales rep, but eventually he just ghosted me after training, and luckily I didn't go through with his state stuff. But like even just to get to a place where I can hire somebody in my state, it cost me about $500 to do so.
Oh wow.
Um, and and that's on the cheap end because I did a lot of it myself. But if you don't know what you're doing, you have to hire other people out, and it can be 1,000, $1,500 to even set up your business to hire employees.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool. So my specific goal for this week is to with getting the payment, getting the process started with getting the website for them, getting their social media, and making sure that my customer is very happy with everything I'm doing and learning their business in and out so that I can best help them in what they need in their marketing for that. And so my specific goal is to get them set up completely through because I'm also setting up their emails, their social media, and all of that, making sure that's all set up for agency to just take and run with the great products that they do.
Mm. Oh, sounds cool. I also think you said that you want to make the customer happy, and I think that is really an important topic for both of us
Hmm.
because I think we both realize that if we have if we have a happy customer, they want to stay with us.
And they'll
And
recommend others.
yeah, 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 exactly. And if we make them money, we also make money ourselves as a marketers. And
Absolutely.
I feel so that's also a really important topic for us, making
Hmm.
sure that the customer is happy. That is one of the, especially one of my success criteria.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
absolutely. I also just noticed that on our or on my end, I need to flip where your stuff and my stuff is, because the Steven stuff is where your video is, and the Alexander stuff is where my video is. So I should have fixed that before we did the recording, but we'll fix it next week.
sure. Well,
But yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, we
Anyway,
learn as
that's
we,
just a funny thing that I just saw.
yeah, we learn as we do it. So that's great.
Yeah. Cool. Uh, okay, so I guess we can start plugging our channels if you want. You can go first.
Oh, sure. Um, well, you can follow me on Instagram at the Birdhouse Agency. Um, right now, I don't have a podcast set up probably yet, so hopefully the next time I'm on this podcast, I can elaborate on that. So follow me on Instagram. I try to post very often. So yeah,
Absolutely. And so on my screen for sure, you can see exactly what his Instagram is. I have his front page just on my screen. So if there was a post that came out in the last hour or whatever, if you had it scheduled, it actually would show up live. Um, so that's there. My Instagram is up on the top of this, and so it's Winning Capital. And also, please follow my Facebook as well. That is also just Winning Capital there. I haven't done too much with Facebook. I need to get a following there because I want to get more clients and clientele through Facebook. And this is also going to be up on, for me, YouTube. I'm just going to post podcasts on YouTube. Eventually, I'll get it on Spotify and all of the other podcasting services. But for now, it'll just be up on YouTube. Next week, I'll actually be live on my business YouTube. I'm actually on my gaming YouTube right now. So next week that'll actually be there. I had to wait for 24 hours to go live on the business my business account YouTube because of just because I forgot to do the authentication and stuff before this weekend, which was my bad. So
yeah.
uh,
Well, that's always a lot of stuff to do. So it's good that we know what we have to do. So
Yep, absolutely. So we're gonna work on both our setups on throughout the week. We both
yeah,
got our cameras this weekend because I had to reorder mine because I couldn't find mine. We actually I had to do a mic change on my end because he couldn't hear me, and so hopefully
sure.
audio's okay. If not, we'll adjust that next week.
Yeah, and it's been a great talk. And thanks for having me.
Yep, no problem.
So
Thank guys. Will hopefully be next week. Are you up for that every week, or do you want to do every other week, or how do you want to do it?
um,
Or we can
actually,
talk after if you want.
yeah, I think we should talk about that
Okay,
after.
so we'll decide and we'll update you guys.
Yeah.
So,
Well, let's just stop the OBS and talk for a bit.
yep, cool, great. Thank you guys for joining us, and see you guys
Thank you.
soon.